Play Watch Listen is a mostly games industry podcast featuring mostly game developers. The show is hosted by Mike Bithell, who is a video game director, Austin Wintory, who is a video game composer, and me, a video game writer. This show is entirely sponsorship free and has been for almost 5 years thanks to our supporters on Patreon, who also got an extended chat at the start of this episode, and completely ad-free episodes. But whether you support this show on Patreon or not, we appreciate you watching the show and we hope you enjoy it.
You know what else the kids are doing? Playing Silksong. Are either of you Hollow Knight people?
Sadly not.
I didn't think you would be.
I dipped my toes in Hollow Knight back in the day, and I have Silksong teed up. I just haven't had a chance. I'm planning on doing a Game Maker notebook with the composer.
Amazing. Music's beautiful.
Yeah, it's certainly his claim to fame, very much twice over. I did a concert with him down in Australia 2 years ago. We did like a lecture together, which was fun. He's a super nice guy. So I've been excited, despite the fact that I know I'm in for a vengeful experience.
Have you played the first one?
Yeah, back when it first came out, like I said, kind of, and I never beat it. It was one of those I ended up getting distracted by. I don't remember what now.
Yeah, video games, it happens.
But I've heard this is considerably harder than the first one.
Yeah, so I played the first one also when it came out and then dropped it because I didn't know where to go. And so I played maybe 2 hours. And so then I replayed it this year because the game that I'm working on keeps being compared to Hollow Knight. And I was like, I should really check out this Hollow Knight thing. Obsessed. I put in 100 hours into a game that does not need that long to finish. It's incredible. There's something very, very unique about it. It's the sense of discovery that really gets me. It's like a big sprawling map and you never know what you're going to find around any corner. Similar kind of appeal to I feel like Breath of the Wild has or Elden Ring has, where it's just whoa, what is this?
You think it does that in a Metroidvania way more successfully than, say, Ori?
I also love Ori, to be fair.
I love me too, but that's why I'm curious, because that's how I would have described Ori. I love that there's just such wide range of stuff in the game, in the world, especially in the second one.
Fairly similar. Ori 2 is pretty blatantly Hollow Knight inspired, and that they and I love Ori 2. I played it before playing Hollow Knight. So they use the charm system, which is pretty unique system where it's basically you have, 30 or something badges, and you can have a certain amount of them equipped at any time, and they do different things, and you kind of have to play around with them before a boss fight. And the thing I was going to say that I think makes Hollow Knight very unique, that I suppose Ori 2 was inspired by, is they do a really good job of, I don't know how many bosses there are in that game, but throughout the level you will find different types of enemies that maybe mimic a pattern that is slightly like one of the boss's moves. So the level teaches you to beat the boss in a way that, I've actually not seen another game do that well. I'm sure someone else does do it, but this is the best example of it that I've seen in a way that also doesn't spoil that moveset and makes it really exciting. So Hollow Knight is hard.
It's the diametric opposite of Expedition 33, which is just a barrage of enemies that all have wildly unique movesets, and you have to just start from scratch every time you encounter anyone.
That game's also really interesting combat in that, I don't know how to describe this before I get back to Hollow Knight, in that something about the parry system in Expedition 33 was easier for me the less attention I was paying.
Right.
Do you know what I mean by that? I think it's maybe the sound design. Something about it.
I was going to say, is it the tells were throwing you off? The less information you were receiving from the game, the better you were?
They kind of trick you, so you might accidentally do it when you shouldn't.
False positives that really fuck you up.
It's how if you're playing Guitar Hero, you're better at it if you just kind of zone out and stare at it. At least I am.
Drunk, yeah.
Yeah. Expedition 33, I was talking to someone about how I feel like the parry system is vibes based. That it's kind of just you just got to feel it. And then you're okay. But if you pay too much attention to it, you'll for sure overthink it. I don't even really know how they did it. It's a very unique one. But yeah, Hollow Knight would be the direct opposite of that, while still always being very surprising in what you get. So the Silksong, I definitely agree, is significantly harder. In Hollow Knight, you have, instead of a health bar, you have health chunks, I guess. And I think the reason that Silksong feels so hard, which is outrageous is that some of the early bosses will take 2 chunks instead of 1. It's like taking 2 health bars instead of 1 health bar. But you also get damage on contact. So like there are bosses that have ads that have like little extra enemies that float around that if any of them touch you, I think it's usually if the boss touches you, but some of them have two mask attacks. It's basically just like you can die just by accidentally touching the boss. It's insane, but
So
totally
you kind of
achievable.
they punish the player twice. So if you go into attack and you miss the attack, you can still get hit because you were moving towards the enemy in that moment. Is that what you're saying? Like physically,
Yeah,
you can hit that
that
collision.
that
Yeah.
is possible, but I think the collision and the hitboxes are not the problem. It's more like if you just it's I never feel like Hollow Knight is the one making the mistake. It's me, but it's like still just so precise. Like if you mistime something with some of them, you'll just die so fast, basically, because you only have because it takes 2 hits. But I was gonna bring that up because I was talking to a friend who's a dev last week who said that sometimes his studio has intentionally made games harder for preview builds because he found that harder games do better with press.
That's an interesting theory. Yeah.
Isn't that like he was like, I noticed that if they're harder, the press coverage will be much more positive, and even if the game itself is harder and our completion rate is lower, which is not a thing I want, he was like, I want people to finish our games, that's why we don't keep them that hard. People tend to assume, if only I were better at this, I'm sure it would be amazing. So even if they haven't finished it, they'll give it a positive review score. If they do finish it, the review score may be lower, or like the Steam review score may be lower because they're like, it wasn't challenging enough. So it's basically just,
Fascinating.
well, I feel like it is certainly shown in like how consistently well FromSoft games review, even though some of them have insane UI and buggy networks, right? Like they still always get 10s. And I feel like it's like, oh, are people just way more likely to give something a good score if they feel like it's difficult? Because they think they're the problem and not the game?
I mean, it kind of works for restaurants, right? Like the more like exclusive and posh the restaurant, if I don't like a course in like a gourmet restaurant, I assume, well, I haven't got the palate for this. Whereas if I'm in like a pizza place and the pizza doesn't taste good, I would never complain because I'm very British and very shy, but like I would take it less. I would assume the restaurant was a fault rather than me, right? So maybe there is an argument to that. There is like a little bit of
Very
kind of
interesting comparison.
some negging going on there. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I
I do feel
I
like it's a good comparison.
I do know that when Hades 2 came out in early access, it was uh, pretty crushingly difficult compared to the first one. I mean, it wasn't like brutally unfair, but it was noticeably harder. And I remember texting my friend Darren on their composer and saying, you know, did I get worse at this? And he was kind of like, yeah, no, we're obviously it's early access. The point is to tune based on player metrics, you know, like are people consistently like they want it to have obviously a challenge. They made a game that is skill oriented, but at the same time, if like some critical mass of players is just rage quitting at a certain boss or whatever, that's the whole point of early access, or one of the points of early access. And I actually don't know what tuning they did or didn't do after that, but I do remember him saying like, yeah, we're definitely not blind to this. Doesn't come as a shock. I don't think in their case it was a review strategic. I mean, obviously early access is not the same as preview build fundamentally anyway, so it sort of doesn't really work. But my impression was
Could be. I mean, like, yeah, it could be that they wanted to see how hard they could make it before having to dial it back so that people can
I mean,
actually play it.
difficulty in general, it's just incredibly difficult. Like, it's
Yeah.
the most impossible part of game design. Like, the knowing where something's going to land difficulty wise. Like, I don't think we've ever nailed it at launch. I think we've always, with every game, had to resolve some kind of weird quirk of the difficulty. I mean, early access obviously is a big help because you can do the metrics work that Austin's talking about. The number of times we come out of like a playtest on one of our more skill based games, and we've had like half the people who playtest did said the game was horribly difficult and they were frustrated and like visibly angry by it. The other half was like, this is too easy. I can't have any fun with this. And it's like, I've never not seen that. Like, difficulty is such a subjective thing. It's really straightforward for a team of professionals to look at a game and go like, well, the art sucks, or, it needs more of this. The music's not working here, or blah, blah, blah. Like, those things are very easy and tangible. The difficulty, like, outside of early access, it's so hard to judge. I know there are incredible studios who are very, very good at tuning that. I don't know how the ones who do it without early access do it. I don't know how FromSoft balance their games.
How do you do that?
Gut feel and then playtesting. Like you get to a place where the team feels it's reasonable, but that's obviously everyone on the team is playing the game for 3-4 hours a day, so there's no way of knowing kind of how well that's working. And then for us, we'll do usually like 2 or 3 rounds of playtesting in different contexts. I think with Catalyst we did like an in-person playtest in Florida with a bunch of people, and then we took that through to like some private gated playtesting, which kind of helped us tune that. But like, it's even then, like, it's still, you are going to see, as the developer of a game, people on the internet saying your game is way too easy and way too hard, whatever you make. I don't know. I think there are better studios and better directors than me, basically, who are better at that. But I find that such a challenge to get right without just relying heavily on like playtest data. That's the only way I know to do it.
It feels extremely subjective. It's even talking about Hollow Knight. It's always surprising to me when somebody says they find a particular boss hard that I found easy, but then they'll find the boss I found the hardest easy, and it's so varied. Like, I think it's called Soul Master was the boss that I found the hardest in that game, and some people are like, a piece of cake, and then there's ones that I found to be a piece of cake, like the Watcher Knights that people spend hours on, and it's like, even those individual bosses, I can't even imagine how they did that. And then Silksong's like a whole extra one of those. Yeah, it must be a nightmare. And I think playtesting. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think playtesting in general can sometimes, the more professional playtesting, where sometimes you'll interview them and you'll ask people to give feedback on every single thing in every level, I think can make people give sort of invalid data, in that they feel like they need to have an answer. And so they may say, wasn't really sure how to do that puzzle, and that's why video game characters...
You can also go insane with it as well. You can also, like, with playtest, because you get so much data, and that playtest data is shared with, like, if you're working with a publisher, say, it's the developer will have it, the publisher will have it, any third parties involved, licensing, that kind of thing, will have it as well. And you can end up, and I have on many projects, end up in these conversations where someone is pointing at one person in the playtest said that they had a problem knowing which way to turn in this moment in the game. And that's how every line of dialogue in a Naughty Dog game where a character says, hey, look up on there seems to be a way through at this level. That's because someone fixated on a playtester. Sometimes they're useful, and often they're useful, but knowing where that line is and how to interpret the data, again, I'm not putting myself up as an authority on this, because I think we've made bad calls based on playtest data as well. Like, but there's an art to that as well. Good playtesters, and this is a profession now that is just massively professionalized, good playtesting teams will know how to process that data and share that with the team responsibly. That's really useful.
Yeah.
And even then, you also always get the raw data, which means that someone can always fixate on one sentence on a spreadsheet, and that can derail things.
Humans, man, just get rid of them.
We're just messy.
AI
we're
for a lot of
messy
it.
people.
Yeah. Look at us.
I think games will be better with AI developing them. I really do. I think it's going to really push the industry forward.
You've grown a lot in the last month.
The problem is you've been through some shit. Yeah, I definitely have. I think there's I think games, yes, they're made by people, but do they need to be? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm of course joking, you listeners.
Take it bad. There's no you gotta live and die by the ability to clock yourself.
I'm not doing it. That's what that is. I mean, that's an option a lot of people in my situation do, is go for the shock developer who says crazy stupid shit online. I've decided not to be that guy. But yeah,
Mike's decided to bring back NFTs. I think that's the new direction.
I think there's some good ideas there. I think because you can own the gun, Alanah. You can own the gun. You can
give
have
the
the
people
gun.
what they want.
It's I don't know if I've told the story on the show, but like, I will not say who it was, but I remember I may have told you guys offline, but I remember watching an NFT guy go to a very famous studio owner slash creative director on a big AAA franchise and explain to this guy, this is why an NFT gun from this other game can come into your game, and that's going to be really useful. And just watching this industry luminary just kind of very politely just kind of pull like you don't know what you're talking about. It was so fun. It was,
Oh
it was
man,
amazing.
what a time!
Good
We
stuff.
really
Good
really
times.
got out of that one.
It's a very funny 6 months. It really was. The AI thing's lasting a bit longer, which is annoying, but we'll get through it. We'll work it out.
Well, in some ways, it's staying around in others for sure. That's a
Totally.
whole thing.
Yeah.
My next YouTube video is about ChatGPT and the digital afterlife industry. Oh boy.
I remember the moment for me that changed. I think I did mention this on the show, but I remember standing in line at a conference in Vegas, and the guy in front of me in the Starbucks queue was like doing therapy with ChatGPT in front of me, with his screen like fonts massive. That's why I saw it. But I have this feeling, and I get it. Therapy is difficult to access, and people need help and whatever. But you just want to reach out to people and just be like, this is going to lead you down a bad path.
It's a toss up on if your human therapist is
right, but they can go. But
human therapists have been caught using ChatGPT.
Also
put that in the video. Yes, they're using ChatGPT.
So reading.
Yes, so even they're doing it. It's insane. But the digital afterlife industry, basically, I think it's Cambridge is concerned.
Is it like Black Mirror? Do they read your tweets and generate?
Yes, you upload all of your data of yourself. Like it's seeming like this is going to be a thing that's part of your will going forward, where you're going to have to choose.
That is literally an episode. The guy from the paper. That's an episode of Black Mirror, right?
Yes.
From like
this
5-10 years ago.
I think it might be one of the first
seasons. Somebody on the news was interviewing a kid who had been murdered. About
the fucking news.
Yeah, it was a major news. I feel like it was Jake Tapper, but it might have been someone else, and I'm just remembering wrong. But there was like a major news anchor. It's very ghoulish. It's one of those where you're going, is this in pursuit of something? I think what it was. I should look up so I don't get it wrong. But I think it was like they were basically, going to be soon adjudicating the trial of the murderer, and it was kind of like, what do you think? Should be the consequences kind of thing. In other words, would you, if you were still alive, would you forgive this person? And
we need to all add this shit to our fucking last will and testaments, saying that no AI can speak on our behalf. We have to add that.
The AI ethicists are concerned about is that these companies will end up having some kind of like subscription service where you will be digitally haunted by your dead loved ones because they have them and will have avatars where they will be able to pop up and guilt you into paying money for shit. Like guilt you into continuing to sustain the AI version of your dead fucking loved one.
I mean, aren't they already doing that with like the dating AIs? Isn't that already a thing? That like there are people who are getting like heartbroken because they've been dating an AI and then that service has been removed and they've been thrown off.
People did have that reaction to ChatGPT being updated to 5.0, where they were like, "Oh my god, I had this bond with 4 and now I've lost it." And it's funny. Oh my god,
I feel terrible because it's what we do. Humans, we bond with things. We have emotional relationships to inanimate objects,
things as much as we can. Yeah,
we're anthropomorphizing machines, and it's such an exploit to like break people's brains. It's horrible. It's to the point where it's just like, because I've got like friends and family who now are just using ChatGPT to like do emails and cover stuff, and they're opting out of parts of their communication in their life because they're using these apps. It's just terrifying. It's genuinely.
Yeah, I think humans will do a lot of stupid shit in the pursuit of dopamine. Like we're really all just addicted to it to a pretty severe level.
And social acceptance, just generally.
I looked it up for the record here. It was Jim Acosta who interviewed, quote unquote, a teenager, someone who was murdered in the Parkland shootings as a teenager, who would now be 25, and basically, controversially did an interview on the news but here's the twist. This was facilitated by the parents. This was not like in defiance of them. This was actually sort of pursued by them on some level.
Wow.
It's really, I feel massive sympathy.
It adds a whole other level of going, you have a family that's dealing with a sort of incalculable amount of grief and probably rage and all sorts of other very intense emotions, processing it in a way that from the outside, you're like, I don't know if that's helping. And God knows what it's one more sort of domino in the chain of at large for society. God knows it's all well and good if you were like, I made an avatar of Mozart. I made a Mozart chatbot to have a conversation with. I feel like that's in such a fundamentally different category, but someone who otherwise could be alive or recently died, even like you probably saw, there was a concert, I think, where they had like a AI Ozzy Osbourne being projected onto a screen. It just felt, it wasn't disturbing, but it did feel in bad taste to me, at least. Or I thought it's not like they're doing anything necessarily immoral or heinous, or at best it's gray, but it
probably
just
not
rubs me the wrong
damaging,
way.
but it feels exploitative.
Yeah, and it was also like,
it's also not working,
like waving
right?
at a camera. It wasn't an interview on the news.
Yeah,
like that's a whole other level of whatever the word is. I don't even know what to call it. But yeah,
well, that's my, like, even this is the thing I keep coming back to with the AI conversations, is there's always these ethical concerns, and they're all very valid. The theft of people's work, and in this case, like the actual like exploitation of dead children, which seems pretty high on the totem pole. The ethically dubious list, like in terms of where you are on the chart. It's in the red, isn't it? It's in the red. It's the one that
Santa. It's the one that Santa refers to. It can't quite decide if it's nice or not.
But it's also just the fact that it doesn't work. Like, none of this, that's not sufficiently approximating the mind of the person it's approximating, because it can't, obviously. Because it's not that, it's a chatbot.
I would say the problem is that it obviously cannot do that. I would say the problem is that it works too well, considering those deficiencies, in that people really will form attachments to these kinds of things.
It does.
Because they simulate
we see Jesus on a piece of toast. Jesus on a piece of toast. The human mind is the processor that's doing the work there. Our desire, especially, I can't imagine, like, if you're mourning someone, like, genuinely the need to speak to that person, like, you're going to project onto anything. Like, it's. Oof,
I have two comments to that, and I actually have to leave in just a second. But one was that
we'll AI generate you for the rest of the podcast.
Please do.
Oh, Star Wars.
Yeah.
Exactly. My spit an image. You don't even need AI generate. Just put a red hoodie on Alanah, and it's all done.
Yeah, that's how you sound.
I think so.
Wow. Alana's getting ready to do this show without us, Austin. We're going to be replaced.
Taking it on the road.
Alana's getting ready to do this show without us.
That's Hitch, but it's even better than your American accent.
I got
you. Sorry, Austin, before you continue, just on the what was it kind of funny? I was watching the other day, and there was a character in the game who they were mocking for having a weird American accent, and they said it isn't even as good as Alana's American accent. I thought that was brilliant.
My American accent's really good. What are they talking about?
They said it was. There was someone, there was a voice, someone in the chat was like, is that an Australian? And they're like, no, it sounds like Alanah doing an American accent. That's what they said.
That's insane.
I was like, that's a crossover.
I'm like notoriously quite good at it. So go fuck yourselves. Kind of funny.
It's good.
Right?
Yeah. Let's have beef with kind of funny. Let's build that up now.
Chicken wrestling. See, I can do all of you. All of you.
You're taking over Austin. Please continue that.
The thought that gave me two thoughts. Number one was, I think probably what that reveals is what everything you're saying about how it's as good as it needs to be already, is that there's a big difference between like just needing basic feedback to a response and like deeply interrogating someone's thoughts. In that sense, I have an attachment to my dogs, and they can't speak. They obviously look at me, they recognize who I am, not relative to a stranger. And that alone will like, you know, be a dopamine hit. You know what I mean? It's one of those, like, I feel like as humans, we're pretty eager to attach, actually, which is, I think, just, in other words, another angle on validating your point that it doesn't even have to try to replace a person to be able to serve that need for good or for ill. The
That's a
other
really good point.
comment that it brought to mind was, what's interesting is the way this interfaces with, like, after my father died, for years, it still happens every now and again, but for years, on an almost nightly basis, I would have a dream where I was talking to him, and it was always disorienting because in the dream, I knew that I somehow shouldn't be able to be talking to him, but I couldn't ever really, I couldn't figure out why. It was kind of this hazy thing where I had some of my awake knowledge, but not all of it. So, because it was very meaningful to see him and to actually be like, oh my God, I've really missed you. But then there's that other voice in my head going, but why? I miss you for some reason. So therefore this shouldn't, something's off about this scenario.
It's interesting
And
how
so
common that one is. Like I had that quite recently
for
with
sure.
my stepdad, but I knew that he was dead. But I had a conversation with him in a dream and then woke up happy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I've woken up both ways. I've woken up utterly devastated.
Yeah.
And I've woken up very like, wow, I almost feel like I was given a little gift of a few minutes that somehow didn't exist, even though it's all purely illusory. It's, I guess, the risk with this stuff is when people really fully, it's kind of like all the discussion around, you know, being, you know, radicalized and things, when you go down a rabbit hole with, you know, and like where it just suddenly you're in a very closed system. So all the kind of ways that we measure, am I taking the temperature to the broader world effectively here? You know, like, you know, whether that's therapy or the chatbot or whatever else, that seems to me like the real danger. You're sealed in. There's no check. And God knows the consequences there.
And ChatGPT was built to be convincing before it was built to be right. I mean, it can't be right. It's an LLM. They don't
That's
work
all
that
it's
way,
built
right?
to do.
It functionally
meant to do.
cannot. It doesn't have a database. It can't be of information. It can't be right. So it like.
No.
I find that so damaging that it writes very, very convincingly and convincingly for the individual as well, because people can tailor ChatGPT to the way they want it to speak, right? It has no means of getting better with information, really. It can't.
I operate under a perhaps naive, if not belief, a hope that the sum total of, we're in the Wild West birth pains of all this. You know, if you'd gone back to someone in the 1840s and explained to them, you know, what Manhattan would look like 100 years later, it would have seemed, you know, completely incomprehensible. Or better analogy would be like what San Francisco would look like. You know, when in their time there was nothing there beyond, you know, maybe a colony or a fledgling settlement, or maybe nothing, maybe just purely natural environment. And so we might be in the analogous terrain right now with all of this, that it will find some stable part in our life. I certainly obviously hope. The alternative is like collapse of civilization, but I do think that if I had a hope that is hopefully not overly naive, it's that it is teaching us to, one, just be way more skeptical of everything that you see and hear. We should have been. I feel like we're now being caught with our pants down on a skill we needed to have adopted a long time ago, of just every single time, like every time someone sends me a link now, I will click on the comments, and they're usually full of people with, here's the link that shows this is AI generated and bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's, and of course that itself should not be treated uncritically as a claim. It's now a counterclaim, but I think
internet, man, it's all garbage now.
So there, I think if a broad-based skepticism as a knee-jerk reaction to effectively all information, I think that's a very healthy thing. And I think that a lot of people are too incredulous about what information comes their way. I also think, slightly selfishly to my corner of the world, it will put a premium on things like, you know, like thinking about Anhila, someone who makes physical art with paint on a real canvas. I think that the stock of that kind of profession can start to rise when all the alternative is essentially just infinite volumes of interchangeable generative
I'm also expecting
supply.
that. Yeah.
And same thing, like live music, and
Yeah.
the more unplugged and acoustic, the better. Person in a room singing and playing guitar with no amplification of any kind represents the ultimate diametric opposite of the world of AI
Yeah.
generated music as well.
Yeah.
And I just, it's hard for me to imagine that not seeing a surge, an uptick.
Yeah, I agree. I
But
think that like
I might
people are
be
going
being
to want.
optimistic.
No, no, I mean, I assume so, but what have I ever predicted? That people are going to want to see more actual human faces, etc., as the dead internet thing grows. But two things: one, ChatGPT is already the sixth most popular website in the world. It is being used. It's adopted so heavily, just because we're not using it, we're not reflective of the majority. Two, 92% of people don't ever check a source on ChatGPT. 92%.
Oh, I don't doubt that
They
at
don't
all.
click a link. So it's like I always felt like, especially having studied journalism in university, that should, a lot of like media literacy stuff should have been taught to me in school. It was just basic shit that I still see people get wrong all the time, where people just like remove the word reportedly or allegedly from a headline. That word's really important. Pay attention to that word if it's there. They're allowed to tell you that someone is saying information without telling you the information is true. And like people get outraged about something being reported, but it says reportedly. They're just telling you someone else has said this thing. They're not telling you the thing is
Yeah.
true. But people miss that all the time. And I feel like that maybe is something that like is a thing to push for here. Humans are extremely lazy. That's why Postmates and Uber Eats and whatever else have become so successful so fast. Is like we didn't really need those things, but now we're like, I don't want to walk, or like, I don't really don't want to drive to get my food. I think that people will continue to use ChatGPT because it's very easy to use. And I don't think people are going to be more compelled to fact check across the board. Like, I don't even think I'm not being
Well,
optimistic.
the impetus would obviously be that people are going to get burned, and they're going to uncritically accept things, and they're gonna the consequences will ripple. Some kid is gonna ask ChatGPT. Some 9-year-old's gonna say, "How do I drive my parents' car?" It's gonna say something that causes this kid to fly into a wall and die, and it would it you know ripple as a consequential moment that people have to contend with. Okay, how like my attitude would in that case be, how do we teach the kid, how do we go to the source? And like you said, things like media literacy need to be the answer to that. Like the don't just blindly do things you read on
ChatGPT
the internet.
recently convinced a kid to kill themselves, and
I
they
saw
did.
that.
Several
I saw
kids.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's social media for the last decade has been like designed to piss us off, right? It's been designed to get us outraged or whatever, just to kind of provoke us to stay clicking and stay viewing. The thing I think people are missing with AI is it is just the next evolution of that. They've basically made a social network that doesn't require user generated content. They can just fill it with as much crap as they want to. The goal is to keep you looking at your screen, and they don't really care why you're looking at your screen. So I think these again, this is part of the design. It's what you said earlier, Alanah. This is not a tool designed to help you through a problem. This is a tool designed to keep you engaged. And the ways it can keep you engaged are
Flatters
by
you.
flattering you,
Yeah.
by scaring you, by making you angry. Like there's a lot of ways to do it. But this is the thing, is I think the tech companies at large used to make tools that were used by people to do things, and they realized that actually it's more profitable to make tools that use people. And that's a flip that happened. Social media was a very expensive way of doing it because you had to convince people it was a cool place to hang out, and they had to feed Twitter with content. That's
the
gone
classic
now.
axiom of when it's free, the user is the product. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's probably not true across the board, but boy, does it seem to hold up broadly speaking. Speaking of user engagement, I gotta go. Talk amongst yourselves. Enjoy. I'm
Stars.
Good stuff.
He really got me down there. I was gonna say, I think that ChatGPT will burn. We'll just argue with Austin while he's not here. ChatGPT will burn people, and then they will learn. I feel is naive. I think that it makes things so easy that people will go, well, it's not going to burn me. It's basically
Or
drugs. They're
to
like,
bring
well,
it
it's not
full
going to happen to me.
circle, it's your video game critic. Oh, I must have been a fool. I must have used it wrong.
Totally. Yeah.
I didn't ask it the right question. It's I have to prompt it better. It's humans. We're not designed, in my opinion, but we have evolved through natural selection to be collaborative and to take responsibility for our actions and to criticize ourselves before we criticize others. In an ideal system, when you're dealing with other human beings, that means you can build bridges together. You can literally create society based on that compassion. The second you apply that mindset to an uncaring machine, then yeah, it's not. People are going to apologize to ChatGPT for messing it around. We're going to get to that point where people are internalizing guilt about their own interactions with this stuff. It's going to really mess with people's heads.
Yeah.
We're
I mean,
not
the
designed
thing,
to have this.
no, we're not designed to have any social media, none of it. It's like just the
No.
technology is outpacing like human comprehension so fast.
Look how much it
It,
ruined celebrities' brains being exposed to that much conversation with people who were sycophantic towards them. Like the
even
number of
before social media, like the
even
child
before social
celebrities.
media, but
Yeah.
we're at a point now where everyone's a celebrity.
Yeah.
Everyone logs in and they're seeing adoration and respect from a virtual person. It's really dangerous, and it's genuinely. I think it's good advice to stay away from it. I really do. I mean, even just stuff like Google, I'd say about, I don't know about you, but when I Google like for information, I would say the AI summary at the top is wrong. I want to say like 50% of the time,
That's what the
maybe
data
less, maybe
says is
more.
50% of the time. Yeah. But
Is that
like,
true?
again,
Oh, cool.
yeah,
There you go.
50%.
I'm
Yeah.
representative.
But it's written so convincingly that, again,
Yeah.
people won't look. And that's basically the problem is,
I've forgotten. I've been lazy. I've been like coding something and I've just Googled for a term while I've been coding just to kind of find, okay, can I just get a 3 line code sample? I've Googled it and the AI's come up as the first result. And without thinking, I just kind of, okay, look at that. Blah. And it's been
yeah,
like 5 minutes later, I've been like, not only does this code not work, this code is referencing stuff that is not present in this engine. This is completely off kilter. It's absurd, and it's not, because it's working, as you said, completely as intended. The goal of the software is to give you something that looks as close to a real answer as possible. It
keep
doesn't know the
using it.
truth.
Yeah. That's all it
Yeah,
can
it has
do.
no context. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I don't think it's an evolutionary step, and that's where I do disagree with Austin. Sorry, Austin, for disagreeing with you once you left the show, but
Man, Austin really
it's
quiet
not.
since all
Well,
these hard facts dropped.
exactly. Well, I think we're winning the debate
I
basically, is
think we might
what is
be.
happening here. The LLM though is not going to evolve into a solution to this problem. We're in a cul-de-sac. It can't. It's not built to do actual cognition. It's not built for that. Will AI one day exist that does that? Yeah, probably. Like we'll probably invent something like that. It'll happen
Yeah.
very quickly, and we'll not have time to talk about the consequences
Well,
of
I
it because
actually
it
even
will
think watching
very
this
quickly
video
happen.
back in 5 years will be really interesting, this particular episode. But the thing that sparked me to make my ChatGPT video is I was talking to my hairdresser and she was telling me about ChatGPT. And I was like, you know that it lies to you? And she was like, mine's never lied to me. And I went, okay. And then went home and started writing a YouTube video that I was like, oh no, that's how.
I'm writing this video, so I'm not
Oh.
criticizing the person with scissors next to my head. This is the
I mean, I
yeah,
love
I
her, but
get
I
it.
was like, wow, that's a fucking crazy thing to think. Like, I love the someone posted it on Blue Sky. I sadly don't remember who, but it's like ChatGPT is only wrong about things that I don't know anything about. Otherwise, it's right about everything. So
It's the old
I've only ever
Crichton
seen it
quote.
been wrong when I've known anything.
It's the Crichton quote. I must have brought this up on the show before. The Crichton quote, which is Michael Crichton, who had some bad views on lots of things, but in this particular area, I think he was spot on. Which was he was reading the newspaper, and he would read the whole newspaper cover to cover. He was a nerd. He read every paper. But he said one day he was reading the newspaper and he was learning about international politics and he was learning about this and he was learning about that. And he got to the entertainment section and it was filled with factual errors about movies he knew were in production, things that were where it was just a bit off, like they didn't have quite access to that information. And he then went, well, I believe the rest of this newspaper, but the bit that
Yeah.
I know about, I know is this wrong. So can we equate that to the rest? And he was talking about journalism, and he was very skeptical of journalism. But journalism has rigorous methods of approvals. It has, you can be fired for being shit at it. You are held to a
For a lot of
standard. Whereas
reasons these
AI,
days.
well, indeed, yeah, exactly. But the AI side of it is just going to do this stuff without recognition. Yeah, it's a Dunning-Kruger machine. It's really good at everything except stuff you know about. It's really funny hearing creatives talk about it. I don't know if you've had conversations with people who are using AI for things that they're not good at. So you'll talk to a concept artist and they'll be like,
I don't think I know
AI
anyone who
generated
uses it.
I've had conversations where like a concept artist will be like, oh, I needed to put some music on a showreel video, so I had an AI generated music, and it's actually surprising how good it is. Then you'll talk to a composer who's like, well, I needed some cool visuals to go with my music, so I used AI to do that, and it's actually quite good at it. And but both of them would criticize the thing they know. It's a really interesting. I'd encourage people, like, if you want to find out what you have no taste in, go and get an AI to do stuff, and if it makes something you think is excellent, then you probably are very good at that specific thing.
That's
your
funny.
gap in your knowledge.
Yeah. It's
a
because
mess.
I've been editing this video since I've been here. I recorded it when I was still home. So if you can hear the hammering, I'm losing my mind. Something about my mum's place. There is construction from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. I'm losing my mind. Hammering.
The neighbors are doing something. Hammering.
Yeah, or saws of some kind. It's just all the time. Yesterday, I was trying to record a bit of audio for something, and it was 5 p.m., which is when they're legally supposed to stop, and they were still hammering. And even though I'm in my mom's house, I went, "Shut up," and they did, and I was like, "Oh no." Oh no, have they heard me?
You created it now, and now your mom's going to have to deal with it full.
Yeah, and I was like, oh fuck. I'm glad they shut up, but I was like, oh, I didn't mean to actually say that to anybody. Oh, it's infuriating. But
I can't hear it, by the way.
What I was saying. Fine. Oh yeah, she was hearing me edit this YouTube video, and she was like, but aren't they just gonna keep getting smarter? And I was like, functionally, LLMs can't get smarter. They're not. That's not what they're built for. They're not really AI. All they do is pick the word that's the most likely to appear before the previous word based on the prompt, and to keep you to stay. So they can't get more intelligent. They can only get more convincing. At least for now, unless somebody like manages to make a database just actually full of facts. But for a while, it's pulling from the internet. It's pulling from every incorrect thing anyone's ever written, which is a fucking lot.
I was going to say, a few years ago, we had Google, which you could literally trust with most. Yeah. You could Google for a fact and you'd find the answer quite quickly.
Well, ChatGPT makes up academic papers, makes up sources so that things look legit. It sources AI, so it's sourcing other things written by AI that are totally unverified. Like, it was very cathartic to make said YouTube video and just learn a bunch of shit that I didn't know. Like, the digital afterlife industry was the one that just made me like, oh my God, we're fucked.
Insane.
We're all fucked. I think we just turn the internet off, Mike. That's what I think we do. I think we turn it off.
I mean, that's what societies have done before with technology. Famously the Luddites figured it out. They sorted it out. And you've looked at the history of like the Luddites and stuff. That's really interesting how it was like this. It was a workers' movement. It wasn't.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Us using Luddite to mean person who doesn't understand technology is 100% an amazing PR campaign from
really?
Capitalism. Yeah, the Luddites believed in like looking after the people who were being offset from those jobs. Yeah, it was nothing to do with them being scared of technology. It was a little bit communist, to be honest.
Okay,
but yeah, like I do think that we legislate for things that are harmful, and I think that the classic problem with technology
is the problem that we have.
Well, also they're just so fast. Like, it's easy if someone's pumping radioactive waste into a river, you can fix that. That's a pretty straightforward thing. You can.
But even fix, that you can't legislate immediately because there's so much goddamn paperwork.
But with the internet, like, it's moving so fast. Like, and that's the wild thing with all of the AI stuff we're currently seeing is in direct. It's breaking the law. It's breaking copyright law. The whole thing.
Right.
Sorry, I shouldn't say that. That's ignorant. 95% of it is breaking copyright law, and everyone's just doing it anyway because no one's.
Well, they haven't done it yet. No one's been sued yet. Aren't they trying to sue Midjourney? Am I crazy? I think
Disney... like most of the major. I think Disney or Warner Brothers are. Yeah, I think most of the big studios are, because there's just so much evidence that like their intellectual property is being used. Because you can type in image of Thanos into one of these tools and
Yeah, they tried to
it'll prompt something
argue,
up.
I think in the court case that it wouldn't do that, but then in court someone just typed in Mickey Mouse and got Mickey Mouse or whatever. Like it
Well,
didn't work out
you
very
know
well for them.
why it didn't do that for a while was, and this is how the illusion's being created in a lot of areas that it's getting smarter. Is that people are just there's just these hidden prompts in the AI. So the AI would basically, every time you would prompt the AI to make Thanos, without you knowing, injected into it is another piece of text that says, but don't use the copyrighted stuff, and kind of vague it up a bit for us. Simplify, if they write C3PO, say it's a robot rather than C3PO. There was this wonderful moment, like which Google patched it very quickly, where you could ask Google the meaning of phrases, and because the system was designed to, because AI is just like you say, just going to give you an answer that feels right. It was inventing meanings for phrases. So, like you would put in, what's the meaning of the common phrase, "You can't have too many scissors in your pocket," and it would say, well, of course, this is talking about blah blah blah. It would give you a paragraph explaining that age-old saying. Now, if you do it, annoyingly, Google's patched that out, so you can't do that
They
anymore.
do patch stuff really, really quickly. Like, yeah,
but they're not making the AI smarter. They're just putting guardrails around it. They're just
correct.
saying, well, if someone asks this question, don't
It
answer
can't
it.
get smarter. It's again, LLMs just aren't built for that. It's all that also makes me want to pull a real Playwatch listen and be like, well, what does smart even mean where AI is
Here we
concerned?
go. Here we
What
go.
does smart mean in this context? I mean, it's just, can a robot be smart? Who knows? But like on that anyway, like even like just talking about social media, I feel like it's been definitely a thing highlighted probably more aggressively in the past week than I think that I've ever seen it in a way that I found to be helpful. With all of the Charlie Kirk stuff, people who are on the right are being fed constant videos of some fucking nobody TikToker celebrating that Charlie Kirk got shot. That's all they're seeing because that makes them click and read comments and open and engage and hit a share button to share it with their friends. I've not seen that even once. All I have seen is generally from people I'm following is nobody should be shot. Also didn't like this
Because
dude.
that's the grown-up reaction to
Nobody
a
should be
situation
shot.
like
It's
that.
horrific.
Yeah.
But then I'm also seeing, because again, it's obviously I will engage with it. I'm also seeing the right-wing side saying, this is it. The left should be done. Be terrified. We're going to get our guns out. Like there's like all these videos of like dudes in trucks being like, it's fucking coming for you, like reloading a gun. But people on the right probably aren't seeing that. The social media, your algorithm is feeding you the opposite side because you
I'll
engage with
hop
it.
occasionally. I'll look at like Blue Sky and Twitter, and the difference in whatever is the. I mean, yes, that was the story in America recently, but like every time something newsworthy happens, the difference in the line of what is being fed on Twitter versus what's on Blue Sky, and that's me on Twitter. And me on Twitter is still me, who largely follows left wing people and largely is a lefty on Twitter. And even I'm getting it's crazy to imagine what you're getting if you're like
All the
way
way
off
in one camp. Yeah,
following.
it's just like,
Following everyone.
they'll be like, well, people are saying, all of the people are saying this. They're not. Like, all you really get fed when something like this happens on social media is the hardcore 10% that is the most likely to make you angry. And do I think that there are some people on the left who are celebrating Charlie Kirk's death? Probably. Like, surely there's
Certainly.
a couple of people who are doing that. Not a couple. I'm sure there are people doing that. Doesn't seem to me to be majority. Certainly not me. And I feel like the rhetoric of like, well, people are saying this. Even some of the people saying it are just doing it for engagement. So you have to also consider even that on the right wing as well. The sides where they're like, we're going to fucking kill the left in the streets. You guys don't have guns. A lot of those people are saying it for attention or because they're feeling emotional. But we've really forget that because our algorithms are catered to make us mad. It's like, again, I haven't seen half the shit that people are upset about. Like, it's just, we basically live on different internets. You have to go out and talk to people.
We live in different realities, and I think again, people are not. I found out the word for this the other day because I was looking at something. Is it the theory of the self? You heard that phrase, the theory of the self? It describes a thing that most people in like normal intellectual development gain in their toddler years, but it's the idea that other people have brains. until the concept that you and I can be sitting here, and I, on an intellectual level, understand that Alanah has a brain in her head and she's thinking other things, and we'll align on some stuff, we'll differ on other stuff. She can see the things she can see on her screen. She's not in this room with me. Like, just that concept of like people, people other than yourself existing.
Yeah,
on
I
a
studied
full emotional
psychology
level.
for 6 months in university before I swapped to writing, and it was all basically childhood development stuff. And one of them was
Okay.
about that period of time where a kid will hold an object and they just think that you can also see the object,
You
even
would
if you're
know
on the
the object
phone.
is there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's called theory of the self. And I think what we're now in a position of is, because again, like until a few decades ago, you could assume that everyone in the same room as you, everyone existing within the same reality as you, was living within the same reality as you, and was
I
seeing
see where you're
roughly the
going with
same
this.
information, was still aware. I think there's this weird thing now where like I genuinely exist in a different universe to someone 2 houses down the road who has, at some point had, influenced an algorithm differently than me and has been taken off into a completely different universe. And we can't see each other in that sense. And I agree with you. I think the solution is like,
Talk to people.
get out of your house and go and talk to people, like, and meet people. But it is weird. Like you'll have these moments. I mean, I even have it. I don't know if you and Rahul have it, but me and Kerry have it, where like I'll start talking about something that I'm like, everyone's talking about this, and Kerry will have no idea what I'm talking about. It will not have crossed her feed. It will not be something she has interacted with or seen.
So I feel like everyone, we all do it, right? Everyone's saying this is so dangerous because it's actually just like the specific content that's catered to you. And there's such a interesting thing on Threads specifically, which I think is a garbage hellhole of a website. It's truly it's worse than Twitter. It's the worst of them. It's just garbage. But I'll often see people, because I feel like their algorithm is especially aggressive. Like influencers complain about not getting engagement. They'll be like, "Oh, Instagram capped my engagement on whatever thing," and I'll just see people complain about that. It's basically that they like think that Instagram's out to get them and has buried their posts. The reality is just that right now we have more content than we've ever had. There is more content being uploaded to the internet than there is people to consume the content. That's where we're at. We're like in an era that I would say is like really blown up in the last like 3 or 4 years aggressively, where everybody is a content creator, even if they don't have a following, because they're all posting stuff. They post to TikTok, they post to Instagram, whatever. Their reel gets 1,000 views and they go, "Oh my God, look at me go." So we just have so much content that in order to curate anything of value, because there's, I don't know how many things are uploaded a day, the algorithm does have to try to take some kind of stance. You know what I mean? There's just too much fucking
or no
stuff.
stance, but like, something will be said. We've outpaced capitalism. That's the weirdest part of it. Is it's the side effect, and you see this on Steam as a microcosm. But like, because of what you're describing, essentially, it's because if you have a phone, you can create content, and there's no barrier of entry. There is a reason. It wasn't like 50 years ago there was a committee that decided how many movies should be released every year, and we didn't go over that number because we harm each other's businesses. The market basically figured it out, right? Like, just as a economic organism, people only spent this much on movie tickets, so they only went see X number of films, and therefore, if whenever there was one too many movies, the movie didn't make money and it was cold and it kind of stayed within an equilibrium. Now, because, and you see this on Steam with games, like that exponential growth of people releasing indie games, what you're describing on Instagram is just like that, but taken to an insane. Because at least to make a Steam game, you've got to have like some programming skill. You've got to be able to go through Valve's
You have to
amazing.
understand, Valve. That's what I was going to say. That's hard enough.
There's all of that, but now that's just going to exponentially, because you can't really fail at posting on social media. You can't crash out. You can't have, which is a wonderful thing on a lot of levels, that the gatekeepers can't hold us back. But it means that you can just kind of always keep producing, and no one will ever stop you. But it also means that there'll just be so much stuff that
there's just too much content. Yeah. Like, your content is not being buried by the algorithm. There is simply too much, and it has to pick things that really are being picked by a human first, right? Like, it's about how many comments you get or how many likes you get or whatever else. But it's not. You simply cannot have every post be surfaced to everybody, because there's too many fucking posts. There's more posts than people, and it really did not used to be.
You know what I mean, Alanah? Am I right?
Just get good, man. You just got to get good. What you need to do is be the 10% most extreme version of every take you can have. That's
Yep.
how you blow up.
I'm writing
You
this
know what I
down.
mean?
I'm writing this
yeah,
down.
write
Yep.
that down. Yeah, you get your notepad out, but it's also kind of true.
Botox and strong opinions. That's what I'm saying.
And I don't know those. Have you seen those videos where they do like hour-long like skincare routines on TikTok?
Yeah, it's all I watch, Alanah. It's all I
That's
watch.
what I was thinking. I thought that might be fed to you. That's why you're glowing.
But no, that's a good example, is because Kerry watches a lot of beauty content, and she'll just bring up like a meme that's beauty content. And, I'll be like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but like, but that's
Roll
fun.
has
That
to
leads to a
update me on the
conversation.
internet like 90% of the time because I don't like I feel like a boomer. Like he basically sends me TikToks and then usually when we're apart, but sometimes when we're together because he's in Canada, he will screen share them and then we'll go through the 100 TikToks that he sent me and
They'll do
sometimes
like a
like,
little
"Oh,
presentation on
yeah,
like,
genuinely,
here are the TikToks of the day. Yes,
yeah, and because they're in order as well, I get them like event timed. So there was stuff that was like there was some Charlie Kirk stuff in there that was like, well, I've seen that already. And they were like, Katie, catch up, Rahul. Come on now. This is old news now. Happened this week. I don't even fucking know. Crazy.
I'm not
My
super
God.
engaged with all of that, to be honest. I've not been paying much attention. But
well, it would. How would you even do that? Is sort of the point.
yeah,
What
you can't have the full picture of
is
any
too
news
much.
story
Yeah,
now.
it's simply too much. And I just like it really makes me like no matter what spectrum of politics you are on, just remember that you are being fed the shit that will make you angry, not the shit that is reflective of how people think, let alone an entire 50% ish of a political spectrum. Like it's just insane.
And the watching a video is not activism in any direction. Like that's something I've definitely experienced as someone who is politically obviously left. Like I get a lot of stuff served to me, which is, look at this awful right wing person. Aren't we brilliant for pointing out a bit of hypocrisy or whatever? And it's like, that has not changed anything. That is candy. That is not having an impact on anything politically.
No, and I think watching that stuff will make you go insane.
I think, I deliberately avoid it now because I don't want to engage with that stuff. I watch a lot of people making things out of clay and telling me about their Warhammer collections.
Yeah,
blacksmith stuff's good.
Yeah, good blacksmithing content. That's when
wood
are
carving.
We old? Well, like
I think we are. Yeah,
men make swords.
I
do.
It was the other day where I was 20 minutes into a model railway video where I was like, I'm not even having the nerdy hobbies of old men of previous generations. I'm watching people have those hobbies. I am worse. At least my forebearers made the model railway. I am simply consuming the model railway.
The railway another dude made. Yeah.
It's not.
That's embarrassing.
That is embarrassing.
Yeah.
It is very embarrassing.
Yeah.
But the other thing, I will say this as well, though, while we're just old people talking about how great the internet is or how bad the internet is, one thing that's really surprised me, I can't really say what it is yet, but I'm learning some new skills at the moment, and it is amazing coming into it. I've not had to learn a technical skill for like a decade because I've had people to do that for me, right? And I'm kind of thinking about making stuff on a smaller scale now. Like the resources, the ability to just learn a new skill I'm so excited for the generation who's just getting started now. I know this is such an old bad thing to say, but like I am learning things and watching like a YouTube video from an expert, like an hour-long video on like a very specific technical skill. That would have been a university degree when I was coming up. You would have had to have done a course. And the idea that all of this stuff is available now is amazing. There you go. There's our obligatory towards the end of the podcast silver lining. Like you can learn shit really well.
Yeah, I'm trying to stop myself from finding
criticizing
negative in that. I will say my favorite brand of person continues to be a really smart person who is super open with sharing their smarts. That is Carl Sagan.
The best people.
That is all. If I could try to be inspired by anyone in my life, it would be that incredibly intelligent man who did not feel like he was belittling himself to explain this incredibly complex information to children.
Yeah.
So grateful to have experts who are willing to do that across the board. And I posted about this on Blue Sky the other day that I feel like my experiences with game devs have been so consistent in that I have a 100% success rate of if somebody has given me a technical term, including on this podcast, but also when I was working in game dev in AAA. I guess in Indie too, it's happening. Where I ask a
You're
question
now the
about
person giving that answer to people, I imagine, in the indie space.
that is also true. I
Sometimes.
have had
Yeah.
indie studios be like, how right? Which is weird to think about, but it's more like any time that I don't understand something and I have asked a game dev a question, every single time the response has been amazing. Somebody asked me a question, and then I like a huge response. Like when I did I interviewed game devs about Stop Killing Games. Some of the information they gave me that was not relevant to the video, but was so people included graphs. Like it was so detailed, and I feel like that I don't know.
That's cool.
I mean, maybe it's just that like if you are really into something, you like someone asking you about it, you know, across the board. But it is really, really nice. My negative take was going to be that as part of this ChatGPT video, all of the rabbit holes that I've had to go down, there's something called digital amnesia. It used to be called the Google effect, where if information is too readily available, you are less likely to remember it. Humans don't value information that they can obtain excessively easily. So if you are able to just Google something and find an answer, you obviously store that in a file in your brain of like, if I forget that, I can just Google it again. So you're less likely to retain that information. So I think if you were trying to learn something, and you're not wrong that like you can get university level YouTube videos for tutorials for things, I'm sure. I would think that you may need to try to make it harder for yourself to make sure you remember it. Maybe you need to note take or something, you know what I mean? Otherwise you will forget it. Yeah.
Well, for me, I buy a book. That's usually my approach. Is I'll buy a textbook, and I will watch the content, but I'll also be reading a textbook on the same subject at the same time.
That's the nerdiest
usually
thing I've ever
my
heard.
way into it.
This man buys textbooks after reading his little model train, watching his model train videos.
And that's
He buys
why
his
the
little
model trains I
textbooks.
build are going to be better than all the other old guys on this street, Alanah. I'm going to win. I'm going to win.
I will support you in your model train building YouTube endeavor as well. I will push that through the algorithm. People are gonna love it. Play watch trains.
Exactly.
It's the next podcast.
I mean, it's what Austin was saying. People like tangible stuff. We could sell some model trains.
All right.
It'd be very popular.
Yeah, we shut the internet down and we'll start selling trains. That honestly
e-waste.
Like
that's the next evolution of the podcast is e-waste, Alanah. We're going to create a lot of useless crap that we can sell to people.
Nobody's ever done that before. Mike, do you have a like pie in the sky, like fake future of like, man, I envision this world where I do this job.
I do this job.
So mine
I do like
is my
me,
dream is I want everybody fucking leave me alone. I want to have a little house by the beach where all I do is write books. And as part of that, I also have a coffee shop that doubles as a dog wash. So when dogs come off the beach, we wash them.
Hygienic. Yeah.
That's the issue. Is it's probably illegal. Shut up! It's my pie in the sky dream job. So
food
the
ratings
dogs
are not
come
going to be
off-
great in that
off
place.
the beach. We wash the sand off them and then give the owners coffee or whatever. And then maybe there's a little bakery that has treats for humans and dogs. And then when it's not busy, because there aren't always that many dogs, I'll just sit there and I'll write books. That's the dream.
That sounds great.
Yeah, do you have one of those?
I think my one of those is just doing what I do, but not having to worry about money ever again. I think that's ultimately, like, I genuinely love my job. I would do my job would be my hobby if I had to do something else. Like, I love making stuff. I love making stuff on the computer. I like making video games. I writing video games. I like the whole thing. I genuinely think, no, mine would just be probably also living on the beach. I'd probably rent a place above your coffee shop.
Yeah, no worries. We can sort that out.
And yeah, and then just being allowed to sit on my laptop and make stuff. I genuinely like that's my retirement plan. I just want to one day I will just make stuff and no one will play it, but I'll just enjoy coding it. Like I
do have that
love that
with writing, where I go. I mean, again, I'm sure everybody relates to this, but I go. It just sucks that I have to do the job part, because if I could just write all day,
well, I like that your fantasy. I like that your fantasy is writing all day, but also running a small and apparently quite hygienically challenging business.
Because
like you're adding.
I want to also make sure that I don't become a recluse, because I'm very capable of doing that. Like especially if I'm writing, I tend to like shut everybody off and like I just like get in a hole and I don't talk to anyone. So I was like, well, the coffee shop, and I really like dogs. So I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it'll like make me happy while I'm writing. I've added to it. Realistically, I do think I end up living somewhere and writing books, and that is probably what I end up doing. That's very hard to do.
That's
to be
been the
fair, so I
running
should go
joke
fuck
with
myself.
me and Kerry for years, is that one day I'm just going to go and write books. I'm
Yep.
just going to cut out the game bit. But I just really like coding, so I don't know if that's ever going to happen. We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to be like, well, I wonder if coding could change to an extent that it like becomes less time consuming, but I don't really want to go down that rabbit hole.
That's the pleasure of coding. This is why I don't get the whole vibes coding thing. Like it's the problem solving. It's like it's the best video game ever. You're
true.
Fixing.
Yeah,
I love sitting down and having a really annoying bug and just spending an hour figuring it out. That's the pleasure.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want it to have less friction.
I love writing, and I'm always confused by writers who say that they hate writing. I know it's a really common thing, and clearly I just don't relate to it. I'm the outlier.
I think a lot of the time it's self-deprecation. I think when I say
agree.
it, I think that's what I'm doing.
I love writing. I've never had writer's block in my life. I will sit there and I will write, and I will write for fucking ever. For my birthday, I got a free write. Have you ever heard of this?
I own a free write. Yeah, I love it.
Using it for an hour a day.
For people who don't know, a stupidly expensive
e-ink
display typewriter. Have you got the big one or the little one?
Stupidly expensive. It's a Traveler. Hang on. I just have to give
I think you've got the exact same one I have. Audience, I've used this to type roughly 2 pages of text. I would much rather use laptop in most situations. Alanah is getting the massively expensive, pointless thing right now. It is cool. I think she has literally the exact same one as me. Let's see. Doop.
Hello, I'm back. So this is a free write. Again, it is
literally. I have the exact same one. It's lovely.
I love it.
It's a lovely object. Do you actually use yours?
Every single day. So you know how so for anyone who doesn't know, again, it's basically a digital typewriter. Where all you can do is write.
It looks like a children's toy. I love it so much. I was saying while you were away, I've written like 2 pages of text on there and then went back to my Mac.
I think that probably happens a lot, but
yeah.
So yeah, I use it every single day. If you hit the special key down the bottom, it gives you, one's the date, one is how many words you've written.
Mm-hmm.
Keep cycling through that, and it will give you a timer. So I sit there and I write for an hour in the morning. And yeah, I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, basically I would say it doesn't connect to the internet. It does, in that when you've written something, you can upload it to a website.
Stuff to yourself, right? Yeah,
kind of. Yeah, but that's all it can do. You can't access anything else. And like, I have also seen people, like when I was reviewing which one to get or whatever, I have seen people be like, "Just put your laptop on airplane mode, idiot." And it's like, yeah, but I have definitely a thing with my laptop where there is always work to do. So I just associate it with, well, but writing's like hobby, pleasure time. I shouldn't be. I should be doing one of the work things that I need to be doing. So it's made me actually get up and write far more often. I'm a huge fan, but it is like $500. So I asked my family if they would all go in $50, and then I covered the rest to buy it for myself for my birthday, because it is stupidly expensive. But I really love it. Yeah,
it's a lovely. It
stops you from editing, which like
that's why I don't like it. That's why I don't like it.
That's what I like about it, because I am totally one of the people who will get stuck in an edit loop where I'm like, I should go back and fix that. Oh, I should go back and fix that. So now if I have an edit note for myself to reference something from earlier, I just write in caps. I'll be like, note for earlier, update this. And then I just keep going. That's probably what I like the most about it.
You see, I'm too iterative in terms of rewriting sentences. Like for me, so I love playing with it, and I will do something. I'm going to use it for some project down the road, I think, because it is lovely and it's a beautiful piece of kit.
It feels
and
nice.
The battery's amazing, and you can take it and sit in a park. It sounds good. It's
4
great.
weeks battery life. 4 weeks.
It's lovely. It's really nice. But I went back to my Mac and I installed Scrivener, and I don't know what that is. Have you used Scrivener? You should go down the rabbit hole. I'll send you a link, but it's a word processor, but it's a word processor written, like made by writers. So it's got like tools you didn't know you needed. So like there's the obvious stuff of like, you can write on it. You can just fill out full screen and it's just the text. But there's a thing where you can choose whether it centers the sentence you're currently writing on the screen or if it works like Word. So you're always in the middle. You can make it that it dims everything except the sentence you're currently writing. So you kind of focus in like on your little quotation. It's got like the structural stuff is lovely that kind of you can basically do kind of a corkboard of your if you're writing books, say you can like of your chapters as record cards, but then those record cards data wise are then documents in and of themselves. So you basically work.
So it's got like Miro stuff
work.
too.
Yeah, it's worth you should check it out. Like it's for me as someone who writes in this really because I'm a writer who's coming at it from being a programmer. Like I write in a very iterative, structured kind of, okay, I need this to be this. Like I'm going to work out the structure and build into it. And it's very top down. I'm used to organizing data in a program. When I write, I kind of do it in the same way. For me, for my brain, that one clicked for me in the way that it sounds like this has clicked for you and didn't click for me, where it's just like, this is the tool I need. So you should check out Scrivener. It's a lovely piece of software. I think it's open source as well, or very cheap. I can't remember what
I do know that people use Miro for like book writing stuff. I just have an actual notebook where the thing that I'm writing, I've written like chapter by chapter down. So because that's what my mom asked, she was like, well, when you finish, because usually I get through about 1,000 words a morning, and then she'll be like, when you finish it though and it disappears, how do you know what you're doing next? And I'm like, I have this notebook that basically tells me everything that I'm writing the next day, or I'll like add notes to it, which is like kind of the same thing. It's just I remember stuff better if I physically write it down. Gotta figure out what works for your own brain, and I love the thing, right? I do know a lot of people who bought it and never used it again though, so
I keep telling myself I'm going to go back to it for a specific project. I'm going to have something that I go and use it for.
You can kind of only do books though, because you can't format. So
I do want to do that at some point. So probably it'll be the point where I finally sit down and do that.
And you can write out in my coffee shop, dog cafe.
There you go. And there can be a train set on the top
opening
floor.
Soon. Yeah. Or in the middle. We could put that somewhere. You'd be just in the corner, You
have the trains run through the coffee/dog cleaning area and just absolutely destroy all
the dogs
hygiene.
Will love it.
Yeah.
Incredible.
That's good.
Opening soon, everybody. We'll see you there. Not sure where yet. You're all invited. It'll be great. We'll
somewhere between Manchester and
Australia and LA. On planet Earth.
It's good.
Proper.
Somewhere.
All right, thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.